Okay, so we're starting off Homestead with a pretty good starting position, at least for qualifying sake. Right up there next to the Viper, which is kind of crazy. But he just pulls ahead because he has so much more horsepower. He's got about 100 more horsepower than I do. But it's understandable, he's in a different class, so I don't even worry about it. But the Camaro in front of me there is in my class, so I try to go for him. And do pretty well. I feel I didn't do very well on this track. It felt slippery, so I just kind of tried to roll with it. I think that's just a quirk of the track. Maybe the surface is different or something, I don't know. But surrounded by tons of prototypes, SR class cars. That braking, because the Camaro, it brakes pretty early. He's fast on the straights, but when it comes to braking, he's pretty terrible. And the prototypes are always just gonna dart away. Except for on the straights, the usual big V8s just take those. I think that was an SR2 car is why they usually don't have. They usually have about half the horsepower, I think. Keeping up with the Camaro, but I need to make a pass if I'm going to do anything serious. That one's kind of like the first turn at Daytona. It's a little weird and throws you off, but it's not so bad. It's actually a little easier to handle. Just kind of flowing through these corners. It's not too bad, but the Camaro just pulls away. He doesn't care. Crazy. But then I catch back up in the braking zones. Makes up for it. So it's a nice little tug of war going on. Not too bad. I think this is where I get a pretty decent run on him. Yeah, pretty crazy dive bomb for the pass there. Too bad. I think I can pull away from him, but he should be pretty close to me as far as straight line speed. It goes for a considerable good bit, but I'm about skipping ahead about 15 minutes. I catch up to more traffic. I don't know why I added this. I guess it's just some traffic passing. Not too bad. I mean, there's a bunch there. I do end up doing pretty well against traffic. They don't put up too much of a hassle. Sometimes they just want to fight you. I don't understand it, but that's just the way it is. So the Cadillac there, the North Star, things quick, but the driver just seems to like to coast behind some of the slower, and then a weird pass I made there for no real reason. Could have just passed him on the right, but it is what it is, I guess. But I ended up passing the whole flock of cars. They were just, you know, just driving around. And a good run. Cut ahead a little bit more. 22 minutes into the race. A 40-some minute race, so it's not too bad. There's the lead car behind me. He's actually going for his, I think it's his first lap, full lapping me. But that car is quick. Lola, I think it's a Lola B2K. It's a Ford, I remember that. I try to let him pass, stay on the outside, so I try to let him pass, and because he's definitely in a different class, I don't really care what his position is to mine. He'll get the overall win, but skipping ahead again. Now the RX-7 here is actually a GTU class for some reason. It probably should be marked as a GTO because it has about 661 horsepower, so it is capable of putting up a fight with an AGT. or even the GTOs, but it's still kind of slow somehow. I guess it's AI is set up or something, because even the Saline should be a GTO class, but it's driving like a GTU. I have no idea why, but nice early on the brakes for him, I guess, and I just dived right past him. But he does put up a pretty good fight, at least for what he is. And then the class lead is behind me again. I'm guessing this is his second, maybe third lap. So I could have had a little more. And then I see a car in my class, and it's the Oldsmobile. I see him and I'm like, oh, I mean, I just gotta get up next to him. I just bump his door a little bit. Just saying, hey. Him and the Viper there, which is pretty crazy to see. So when it comes to the Aurora, I can basically just dominate him on straight line alone. He's more fit for the inner part of the track. The Mustang is just brute force. But I end up getting closer to the Viper there. And this is pretty much a long stint of the rest of the race of me trying to fight the Dodge Viper here. You can see his own teammate is in front of him in, I think it's an SR2 or an SR1, but it's also a Team Eureka teammate, just in a different class. But I believe there's only one of each of those cars in this race, just a mock-up. But he pulls away on the straights severely. He's got about 100 more horsepower than I do, so he just disappears. And I probably coast a little too easily in second gear. If I go down to first in the corners, I might risk spinning out because the car is just so torque heavy. I mean, he's even keeping up with that prototype. That's crazy. Once we get closer to top end speed, I can kind of keep up here, but his maximum speed is probably a little more than mine. Finally clear the traffic, if you can call it that. I mean, it's a higher class, it shouldn't really be that big of a deal, but keep going. Not too bad. I can kind of keep up with him, but it's really a struggle considering his just straight line speed is insanity. Or at least his takeoff, that's just wild. Fighting a back marker. Pretty much get caught up in this guy for a good second. I already thought I lost him, but surprisingly no. Right the curve there. Try to stay on a decent line. But surprisingly kind of catch up to him. I don't know if he just braked early out of panic or what it was. I mean, the AI is pretty high as far as level. I keep them at a 30 as far as aggression, because a lot of times they just pit maneuver you, and it's about the same as getting onto a multiplayer lobby, just less petty, I guess. We're actually decently close to some of the last few laps at this point. I'm trying to remember what that car ahead is up there. I can keep a decent pace, but I'm still far away from him. I can see the Saline, the SR wide body is coming up. We're actually gaining on him too, and he's pretty much the direct competition to the Viper there. So it makes sense that they would be in battle, but the fact that we caught up to him is just interesting. I think that's a Cadillac between the Mustang and the Viper up ahead. Early braking again. I almost hit him, so I had to go inward. I can't tell if that's the Cadillac. Looks, no, it's not. Must be a Lola B2K. But surprisingly past the Lola. And catch up to the Mustang here. And I was thinking I should go low, because the Viper closes in on the top there. Can't really see it, but he was back there. You can kind of see here, I guess. So I didn't want to hit him. That Mustang is just bouncing. The saline just becomes a buggy of some kind, I guess. And I kind of go wide here. I'm not sure what the reason was. I guess I just slipped. And he gets past me. And again, in the struggle of things, I try to keep up with that Viper. Do some late braking here, and he just catches right onto it, side by side in the corner here. A little bit of paint rubbing, but that's all right. I try to stay on good terms with him at least. Another bit of late braking. I come side to side, but he's just on it. Pulls away. I'm just sitting there having a picnic. Effortless. Definitely within the 3-lap left range. But I remember this point. Pretty decently matched as far as top speed at this point. I go for another bit of late braking there, but he just pulls right away again. I don't know if he just is able to brake better. I try to stay as close to him as I can, but when he pulls away it makes it harder. The track felt like it was long, but it was actually a pretty short track, surprisingly. You can see the traffic up ahead. I think it's a wall of Porsches, so that must mean this is the final lap, if that's the case. Yeah, there's a BMW up ahead, and I think 3 or 4 Porsches. Yeah, 3 of them. Different levels of car. But the Viper just pulls right away from me, as close as I could get. This is the final lap, and Viper's gonna run it. And he gets caught up in traffic, and I just decide to go insane inside and risk going up that banking. I nudged the Porsche a little bit, but surprisingly I didn't spin out. It was a high-risk move, but I actually passed the finish ahead of the Viper, and that's for a position overall. Not too bad, I guess. But as far as the race goes, I mean, that was a good bit of payback for the last race at Phoenix, I guess. And yeah, I also updated the livery of the car. You can get an idea of that in the credits. But 6th in the race here overall. Not too bad. Still can't get it up at Craig Conway up there in second place. That Camaro must have been flying. And then that puts me in 6th position overall in the championship. Still behind the Viper, but at least I got a win on him. And Craig Conway in my class is still ahead. And with that, we'll see what happens in the next race, where we'll be racing at Lime Rock Park.